What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Zambia's finest trader, Blissbilliondollar, and today we are back with another exciting episode of Ask Blissbilliondollar, podcast. And of course, this is a podcast where you get to interact with me indirectly by just you asking the questions, and of course I get time to respond to these questions every Friday right on the Billionaires Trading Academy. So if you're just joining in, ensure that you smash that subscribe button, also turn on the notification button so that you do not miss an episode of this amazing podcast. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into it, and today's first question is coming from somebody who's been trading for 2 years, and they say, how do you read the direction of economic news event before it actually comes out? How do you read the direction of the economic news before it actually comes out? So anyway, if you do not know, ladies and gentlemen, I've been trading news together with the amazing community of the Billionaires Trading Academy, and we've been smashing it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this person wants to know how I trade news before it actually comes out. So it's not that we control the market, right? But the information that you need is already out there. And what it is that the information that we look at least gives us an edge, or a higher probability of knowing what is going to likely happen. For example, following how certain companies are performing in the US, because I trade US news mostly, we follow how certain companies are performing. We also do technical analysis. This is why you look for liquidity areas and all that. And lastly, we look at the data before it actually released. What is it that we're anticipating to see? And if it aligns with our technical analysis, and then we can create a signal and say, okay, I believe when this news event is released, the direction it's going to take is either bullish or bearish. Now, all this information that you have to look at is not something that I can start explaining here, because it's going to take a lot of time. But I think I'm going to put together a short course that people can purchase and also be able to know how I analyze news and be crushing it. So that is what I can say about that, right? Now, the next question comes from somebody who's been trading for 1 year, which is good. And he says, how do you manage to trade against crash instead of selling, but you are buying, and which strategy do you use? So now, if you are new, when you talk about crash, it's actually a synthetic index that we trade on a broker called the Reef, right? I'm going to leave their link in the description of this video, right? So how do you manage to trade against the crashes? So when it goes down. So ladies and gentlemen, the principles are the same. If price is going to go down, it's definitely going to go up. It's simple. Just look for areas where you expect the highest probability of a price turnaround, where you think price is going to turn around and start going, upwards. Just that, right? And now, it's not mandatory that you have to trade against the crashes, and it's not mandatory that you have to trade with the crashes. Just look for something that suits you, your strategy, and something that gives you an edge, and trade that. At the end of the day, we are focused on getting the bag. As long as the money is hitting the bank, that's all we care about. So that's that, ladies and gentlemen. And he asked to say, what strategy do I use? Ladies and gentlemen, I have a particular strategy which I have been able to put together, and I'm going to put a link to that strategy. You can get it, and of course be able to learn how I trade. But how I trade, I use institutional trading concepts, which is smart money concepts, as well as price action. I've found my way to put these things together and only go for those things that work, right? Yeah, so that is how we do it. And then the third question for today's session, ladies and gentlemen, is coming from somebody that has been trading for 6 months. Congratulations to you. I'm sure now you're getting to know the reality of trading. So he says, hello, I have 2 questions. We said one question, but anyway, it's a Zambian thing. I think this person is Zambia. Yes, he is. Yeah, it's a Zambian thing. My Zambian folks, I hope you understand this. Yeah. So he says, hello, I have 2 questions. How do you define price action? Yeah. So I'm going to start with this question. How do you define price action? So price action is simply a trading methodology that allows you to use price patterns such as the falling wedges, rectangles, triangles, ascending channels, and also utilizes the use of support and resistance to help you make a trading decision. Now, that is a very simplified way to define it, but if you are to ask me, that is how I would define it. Others also mix the use of candlesticks, right? So that is how I would define price action. And of course, we also use past data, the present, and then we use those two information and then be able to predict what might happen in the future. And the second question is, what is the minimum amount you would advise someone trading currencies to begin with, and using what risk management, lot size, and leverage? Really, if you are going to start your first trading account, don't deposit anything more than $100, because one, chances are high that you're going to lose that amount. You can make some dollars here and there, but definitely you're going to lose that. Chances are high that you're going to lose. I'm not saying you're going to lose it, but if it's your very first time, chances are high that you're going to lose it. I lost my first cash, right? And almost every trader would relate to that. We've lost money at some point, right? So now I would advise, maybe if it's your very first time, start with a minimum of maybe $10, right? And just have a feel. Once you lose that $10 or once you make more on that $10, have a feel of that. And I was also advise that once you deposit and then you make some cash, ensure that you withdraw. Receive that money so that you know really Forex pays, and that stands sort of a motivation and a boost, right? So that's something that I would advise. And of course, we have brokers that allow you to start with as low as $10. The best African broker, ladies and gentlemen, TD Markets, the best broker there is. So this broker allows you to even deposit using mobile money, the Visa, crypto, and all these methods. And really, ladies and gentlemen, it's simply the best, right? What risk management? Really, if you are going to trade with $10, I think I'll just tell you in terms of lot sizes. Use 0.01. Take only one trade. You lose it, just like that, you keep on going just like that, right? And ensure you define your stop loss on one trade, maybe risk $3, and then be aiming for $3 or more, right? And that's the thing, right? But if we're going to go by the book to say only risk 1%, what's 1% of $10, right? That doesn't make sense, right? But eventually, as you grow, now you understand, okay, here, we have losses in Forex trading, we have wins. So now, at that particular point when you find your urge in trading, that's when now you can deposit more and then build it slowly until, you reach a point where you've made significant amounts. Now, the other question, ladies and gentlemen, is coming from somebody that has been trading for 2 years. And he says, as a pro trader, do you trade every day or you have specific days when you trade? And do you think it's better to focus on currency pairs, on a currency pair or multiple? So as a trader, I've been trading for almost like 5 years now. I do not trade every day, right? Because it's not every day that you get the right setups. My strategy does not allow me to trade every day, right? But I only trade when my strategy says this is a time to buy or to sell. So I'll wake up, I'll look at the market, and as long as the things are not aligning, as long as the market is not in the points of interest, I'm not going to trade. I'm just going to look at it until it reaches my points of interest. I get my confirmation and then I take trades. And he says, should you focus on one currency pair or multiple? Ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't advise that you focus on one currency pair. And of course, a lot of people are going to argue with this. But this is my own advice. You are allowed to have your own opinions. And I'm going to state why I believe it's not okay for you to just trade one currency pair. The reason why I feel it's not okay for you to just focus on one currency pair is that you are also missing on other opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, an order block is an order block on all assets, right? And why just focus on one when you can have other setups, right? Of course, it comes with its own pros and cons. But for me, if you had asked me, I focus on the major currencies. And of course, from there, I'm able to trade from, I think, about 8 currency pairs. Those are the ones that I focus on. Don't focus on the exotic ones, but pick the majors. And then as you grow as a trader, if you develop interest in one currency pair, and then you can specialize in that one currency pair. But you're just starting as a trader, don't just focus on one. Experience. How are you going to know which one is the very best if you're just going to focus on one? Experience. Try them all and then find that one, and then that's only then can you transition and then just start trading one currency pair, right? That's what I would advise. Okay, all right. So the next question comes from somebody who's been trading for 3 months. Congratulations on starting, right? And he says, what is the best leverage to use for an account ranging from $50 to $100? Really? For me, I know other traders will have their own opinions, but for me, I say go for the highest leverage that the broker offers. And in this case, TD Markets offers the best leverage there is in the industry, right? And I think as we speak, they offer 1,000 to 2,000. That's the highest. I say go for the highest because, with high leverage, you can risk more. We're risking, that's the whole point. You can risk more, especially if you trade moves. It plays onto your advantage, right? Yeah, but of course, it can also play to your disadvantage. But I say go for the highest leverage there is on the broker that you're using, right? Yeah. So the other question, ladies and gentlemen, that we have is coming from somebody that's been trading for 1 and 6 months. And he says, what is your break-even criteria on a trade, and how do you scale up more positions? Very important questions. I understand this person has been trading for 1 year, 6 months. I think this person really understands. Now he's coming to understand, or rather understands how they trade, and may just have a few, hiccups here and there. What is your break-even criteria? So for me, my rules stipulate that one, if let's say I'm risking 1% to make 3 times or more, right? Once the trade goes in my favor by 1%, I'll definitely reduce the risk and take it to 0.5%, negative 0.5. So meaning I'll move my stop loss. And then once price reaches up to maybe 1.5% or 2% of what I was initially risking, and then I'll break even. But that ultimately depends on also how the market structure is playing out in the market, how that asset is playing out in terms of market structure. So that also determines. So there are 2 ways. You can just be following price, or you can be following it in terms of percentages. And I've just explained to you how I do it. And the other question is like, how do you scale up more positions? So as price moves, ladies and gentlemen, you are reading it. Price sort of tells a story, and as it moves in your favor, you're going to see what are the areas that, when there is that pullback and then it continues to go up. For example, we've taken a buy position. When price pulls, there's a pullback, and then it reaches a certain point to start continuing to go up. Just look for those areas where there is a likelihood that it would now reverse and continue going up. Those are the areas where you're going to start selling up, meaning entering more positions. And of course, you're going to be risking, of course, as usual, depending on your risk management, right? Yeah. So the next question, ladies and gentlemen, comes from somebody that has been trading for a year. And they ask, when one joins your mentorship program, do they get admission to your other signal groups too, or it's different? So when you get admission to my mentorship program, of course you have access to my signals. All you gotta do is when you are ready to trade, you just let me know to say, I now want to be receiving signals. But in the groups, students are free to interact on what they feel on the market, share ideas and all that, which is really cool, right? For the signals, once you are ready to trade, I can simply add you to the group of signals as long as you're my student, right? Yeah. The next question comes from somebody that's been trading for 2 years. Congratulations to you for standing the test of time. And he says, when you finally became profitable, what exact changes, or rather, what did you start doing different that made the difference? And for how long did it take after making the necessary changes before even people around you could notice the difference? Ladies and gentlemen, a success is like pregnancy. You can't hide it forever, right? Yeah, as long as you're pregnant, one or the other people are going to see because it's evident. Yeah, so when I finally became profitable, what changes did I make? Ladies and gentlemen, are you talking of in terms of lifestyle or in terms of trading? So in terms of trading, I didn't change anything when I became profitable. I simply continued with the methodology that I was using because that's something that made me profitable. But in terms of lifestyle, you would say, I managed to build my parents a house. I managed to get my first car, which was a BMW. And I bought 2 cars at once, the BMW and the Mercedes Benz. And from there, I also became independent. I started staying on my own. I started having other responsibilities, you see. So there was that change in lifestyle. And of course, you always have access to the pretty ladies. That's a joke, ladies and gentlemen. But you know how it is, right? You can't run away from this. Where there is light, bugs are attracted to the light. Where there's money, you're going to attract all sorts of things, right? Yeah. Yeah. And it says, how long after making the necessary changes before even people around you could notice the difference, right? So I think for me, I started making some good amounts of money after like 6 months. By good amounts of money, I'm not talking about 100,000 kwacha. I'm talking more, right? 100,000 kwacha, that was before 6 months, right? But after 6 months, that's when I started making beyond those figures, right? And of course, people knew now, my family knew, how do you manage to build a house? How do you manage to get 2 cars? How do you manage to start staying on your own when you're just being kept, right? So people will always see, right? Yeah. At the time when I was just moving, that's when people saw. Yeah, and of course, if you used to follow me back in the day, I was the guy that would flex. Yeah, not yeah, it's always important, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the lifestyle changes also. I'm driving and, I'm doing all these things. I'm going to all these places. I'm hanging around, other people. I get to meet other people. And now I can move at my own time, right? Yeah. So that's that. It's always a good feeling, and I wish that you also become profitable if you are not yet profitable. If you are watching this, I wish for you that you become profitable, right? All right. The other question, ladies and gentlemen, comes from somebody that has been trading for 5 years. Wow. And he says, is it possible to balance school and forex trading? Like me, I'm doing medicine, and also, how do you manage your emotions? So there are 2 questions. So the first question is it possible to balance school and forex? Yes, it is very possible. The only challenge you're going to experience is especially when you're learning, because it will need more of your time to understand it. Now, others, depending on your personality, you would thrive with this methodology of having to balance 2, but others are not so good at balancing more than one thing, right? So see what works. But for me, I was able to balance forex as well as school. How was I managing? In the times when I'm not trading, for example, in the evening, I would look at the markets. In early morning, I would look at the markets and plan where I'm going to enter from, where I'm going to exit from. And then as long as I've done my analysis in the morning, even when I'm in the lecture, I'll just look at the charts, see, I've already marked. If the market hasn't reached there, okay, I switch, I continue learning, right? You multitask, right? But you have to know that if you do not manage yourself well, you'll find that this other thing will start suffering at the expense of the other. So one, you definitely have to cut on some sleep and also some time to play, right? Until you reach a point now, you are like me. Right now, I can manage forex and every other thing, right? Yeah, because now I don't need to stay for more than an hour on the charts for me to just analyze. Right? 30 minutes or less, I'm done analyzing. I know where I'm going to enter from, where I'm going to exit from, and I can go about any other activity. So if you already know how to trade, of which I believe you already know how to trade, it's very easy. Ensure that, when you knock off from school, you use the extra hours that you have to study for your school. And then when you go home now, look at the charts, If you're going to wake up at night, study for school, and then leave some time to look at the charts, depending on how you're going to do it, right? But I remember when I was in med school, every time we would knock off, I would remain a bit behind, study something that we learned at school, so that when I get to my boarding house, I would look at the charts. In the evening, I would study for school. And in the morning, I would look at the charts and then go for class. And how do you manage your emotions? What type of emotions are you talking about? Is it FOMO, or fear of missing out, or when you're in a trade, you're excited and all that? But really, ladies and gentlemen, it's not something that should be complicated, right? You know yourself better. If you feel you've lost a trade and you want to start revenge trading, go out, go and have fun with your friends. For me, if I haven't had a very good day, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out, meet with my friends. If you have female friends, even better. You interact, you talk, you have a great time, you have some drinks together, and you go back home for to trade another day. That's it. Don't risk everything on the same day. Don't ruin your account on the same day. Matter of fact, we live to trade for another day. Capital preservation is important. So, right, that's that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, another question comes from somebody that has been trading for 3 to 4 years, and he says, how can I know how much I'm risking trading indices such as NAS 100 and US 30? Ladies and gentlemen, there are tools that you can use on TradingView, or others have developed robots that allow you to do all that. Others have what we call Trade Manager. It shows you how much you're going to be risking, right? Now, depending on your account size, you are going to decide how much you're going to be risking. For example, if you have like $1,000 to trade with, you can be risking 1% of $1,000 per trade. And it will take a lot of time before you can actually blow your account. We're not trading to blow our accounts, we're trading to make more. Shift your mindset to thinking, I'm here to trade to make more money and not to blow my account. Some of you, when you deposit your money, you're already thinking of where you're going to get your next money to deposit again. No, when you deposit your money, think this is the money that I'm going to trade with and I'm here to make more. So that when you lose one trade, you take a break, you come back another day, you take another trade. You're risking 1%. You can't tell me you're just going to be losing all the trades. No. Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, and finally, our last question for today's segment is coming from somebody who's been trading about a year. And he says, me being someone new to trading, would you advise me to invest my personal money or get a prop firm instead? Right? You always invest your personal money. Don't go and ask money from people so that you start trading. No, get profitable with your own money, right? And then prop firms are good, but right now the prop firm space is sort of shaken, right? Many scammy prop firms are coming on board, and you might be unlucky that you're just getting on board and they shut down, right? But what I would advise is that if you find a legit prop firm, of course, go for it. I'm not going to endorse any prop firm at this particular point. I can talk about that later. But always ensure that you use your own money, and of course, use money that you are willing to lose. Not your last money between you and poverty. Don't do that. But use money that you are willing to lose. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that was our last question. And of course, always ensure the link to ask me about, to ask me all these questions is going to be in the description of this video. You can always just fill in, ask. I'm not going to take your information to any other third party. I'm just going to look at it. And of course, you can ask your questions. And of course, I'll be publishing the content every Friday. And I'll see you on the next segment. Always ensure to follow me on my social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, as well as just on YouTube. Ensure that you smash that subscribe button. Ensure you click on the bell icon so that you do not miss the next amazing episode from Zambia's finest trader. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, until then, I'll see you on the next podcast. All right, we are done for the day.